On it for the late night. On it for the late night. Talk a little something for the playback for people coming in and the playback that will happen when people play this back. As I roll me one as well. We'll see. We'll see if anybody up. Let's see if anybody's up. Oh, excuse me. And we're gonna see if anybody's up. If you're just watching this on the playback, you can fast forward a few minutes so I can get people in, get the time for the algorithm to hit. We're gonna go over some stuff tonight. Learn a little something. I noticed, when the live streams get a little full of arguments, I tend to go live once I get tired of some of the stuff. I like to bring in the teaching, and we'll see. If I get good attention tonight, I will. If I don't, then oh well. If I don't, then oh well. One thing that's funny about this photograph is it doesn't look right. Something looks off about this portrait. And once you find one thing off with a portrait, it'll make you start wondering what's off with the other portraits. It's just like if somebody had to do a job of photoshopping multiple photos. Eventually, you probably will catch them with making mistakes. Let's say if somebody say, "Hey, I need you to Photoshop these photos for me." And they gave you like 30 photos. Do you think you would do all of those photos correctly? Or do you think you might make some mistakes? Who knows if they even had a version of like Photoshop, obviously non-computer, back in the day. Who knows? We don't know that. All right, I'm just kind of making speculation. I'm just getting started, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming in. Rolling up this one, and I'm a smoke and cook for y'all since I can't go to sleep for whatever reason. So we'll be up and we'll get some game. But look at this photograph. Y'all notice anything off about that photograph right there? Anything that sticks out to you? All right, I got myself rolled up. Let me light this thing, and we'll get going. Got 30 lighters and I can't find one. But anybody notice? You said the color. What's up, Mocha? You notice the color difference between this part and this part, and you see a distinct line going all the way down, right? Let's look at the other side. You see that line? Distinct line going all the way around. What is that? What would that be? Notice how I don't know, just notice how the picture itself does not look right. Now this is in the British Museum website, britishmuseum.org. And I'll let you know why I went there here in a moment. But as I was going through it, excuse me, but as I was going through it, I saw these. I saw a bunch of these photographs of so-called Native Americans. Let me see if I still got some of them pulled up. Oop, I closed a lot of them out. Let me open back up the British Museum. I'm going to show you how I found them. We're going to go to the British Museum. Hit the menu, go to the collections. Oops, damn it. Go to the collections online. And now I can search. Now the reason why I went in here in the first place, let me light up. Says so-called, yeah, they are so-called Native Americans. That's what y'all call them, so-called. That's what y'all so-call them. That ain't what they are. Technically, everybody's a Native American. That's why I say that. Anybody born on this landmass is a Native American. For those that don't understand definitions, let's just do an etymon definition of the word native for you. Not to say that you talking noise, but this is a good little lesson. A natural, inborn, hereditary, connected with something in a natural way. Old French native, born in. Raw, unspoiled, and directly from Latin nativus, innate, produced by birth, from natus, past participle of nacis, be born, generated, whatever, right? Gene, birth, begat, derivatives referring to. Says nothing about landmass there, okay? It just says you were born. So to be a native born American is anybody that was born on this soil. That's not just your Siberian, Hawaiian, Filipino looking folks. That's not what that is. So let's see. Well, what was I doing? So I went here. Now, why did I go here? Well, personally, I got this folder. I'll show you. I got this folder called Virginia. And in my Virginia folder, there's a lot of these. Now, when I got these from other people. Well, yeah, two main channels. Shout out Sosolina and another channel, whatever that other channel was. But I got many of these. Let me scoot back so I can sit back instead of sitting forward. But I got many of these talking about Virginia, right? And you can get in real close if you're trying to see what it is, right? We can see the hairstyle of the kid. We can see the melanation. We can see the tobacco. We can see all of that, right? So, what's going on, Rise and True? So, what about the ships full of black people? What about the ships full of white people? What about the ships full of Filipinos? What about the ships full of Spaniards? What about the ships full of Asians? What about the ships full of Middle Eastern folks? What about the ships full of all them motherfuckers? What about them? Where do they go, nigga? Y'all playing around. Some of y'all acting like you white. Some of y'all acting like you Native American. Some of you acting like you're Mexican. Y'all just leave your whole countries and never go back. Like some biznitches. That's what happened to them motherfucking ships. But, okay, so, and then here's some dates. You see, we got some dates, like 1703. You got dates of people melanated with woolly hair who puffing on the gas and on a advertisement. So that's why I went here, because I knew that they came from the British Museum. You see that right there? And you see the melanated people back there picking tobacco and putting it in the barrels. Okay. Well, I was like, okay, well, let me go to the British Museum myself, since I hadn't done this, and let me just look up. First, I looked up Virginia, because I said I should be able to find what I had before. What's going on with you? He said they got that top shelf Zah. Hell yeah. They was picking nothing but the best. He said you on your burner. Oh, who's that? Who are you on the burner? Who are you normally? Let me pull up. So once I typed in Virginia, they said I know me. I know them though. Once you type in Virginia, I go to the production date, and I set up the dates here. What's up, Cynthia and Survivor? Appreciate you coming in. So I said I wanted to look between the dates of 1600 and 1800. In fact, so I said, all right, let's see what Virginia files in the British Museum we will get between 1500 and 1700, right? So it's only 258 results, so it wasn't like there's a ton of stuff. But that's cool, because that means I ain't got to go looking forever. So they got a bunch of rudimentary stuff. But as you can already see, they have things very similar. Even though that may or may not have. I think, yeah, that's actually an old $1, 1/3 of a dollar, of a Spanish milled dollar from the Virginia. Who's ever seen that? Who's ever seen money like that? Who knew? What's up, Tasha? Appreciate you coming in on the late night tip. Honored to have you in here. So who's ever seen Virginia money like that? You know, I ain't never seen it myself. I'll say that, But this is some old school Virginia money. At least it says Spanish milled dollar, so it must. I don't know if that means 1778. They wouldn't have been under the Spanish by then, so not 100% sure by that. But I kept scrolling because I was like, okay, what else is in here? Because what I'm really looking for in the British Museum under Virginia, what I'm really looking for are those drawings, those advertisements about the Indians. So as I keep going, we'll go through the couple of pages, only 3 pages. So that way I can show y'all directly from the museum. And that's what I like to do. See, there goes one right there, as you can see. But before we click this one, because I got that one, I want to show y'all one that I found on here that is undeniable. Now, we got that, right? That's another one too, right there, right? I want to show y'all something that is undeniable right here. Here's another one. Another one. in DJ Khaled voice, right? So look at this. Now, we have one figure on here. Just one figure. And he's dressed in... Why did they do that? He's dressed in feathers, right? Now, what if you tried to say, that can't be a Indian? Appreciate that, Tasha. Be like, what? That ain't y'all. That's not one of y'all people. Well, I find it very funny that when I looked at the top of this, it says, the black boy. And still, I wonder which one is the black boy on here. Hold on, let me pull it up over here, because this thing, the way that they're, is it keeps moving and doing all that crap. I think I downloaded it. Didn't I download that bitch? I didn't download it yet. Hold on, let me download that. I could have sworn I would have downloaded it. Hold up. Or maybe I just took a screenshot. Let me wow, damn it. Okay, let me take this screenshot real quick before I forget. Get out the way. All right. So as you can see, let me go to the screenshot so I can move around it easier. Let me crop it real quick. My iPad pissing me off this evening. All right, so now we can kind of go back. Now, which one is the black boy? You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many motherfucking black boys on here. It's only one character, and we already know that we're talking about Virginia as well, off of Church Street. So not only in this one receipt helps to validate all of these other receipts that I got. You know, under Virginia. I guess it's over here. I have to go back to it. And why does it help to validate it to me? 40-something people appreciate y'all coming in here, man. Damn. So when you come into the Gullah corridor, I would call it the Geechee corridor. I don't like to say Gullah, unless I'm really giving history about the word Gullah. But the Geechee corridor, I would love to. I would love to get some interviews, but I don't know who I would interview out there. And if Queen Quet, there you go, Wale. And if Queen Quet was to ever want to have a debate in person, I would damn sure be there. Or if she'll let me get an interview, one of them good heated interviews, I would love that. But, you know. Okay, so let me take you back to the museum. So I found this, right, in the museum on their website, okay, under Virginia, within those years. But on top of that, there was others. So let's go to some of the others. One that I thought that was pretty intriguing is this right here. If you can't tell what's going on, let's click it. Don't cost nothing to click. What is this? What's going on here? What's happening right there? I hate that it keeps doing that. What's happening? It's supposed to scroll. It's supposed to let me scroll. See, I just gotta this is why I just screenshot and do it over here. Hell, who wants to deal with that shit? Okay, so what's going on here? Back to it, right? What's going on here? A little jungle fever back in the 1600s? What's going on? Now, is that a slave or is that an Indian? Well, you really can't tell because they're not really dressed of an Indian fashion, you know, with as far as feathers, but not everybody had to wear feathers just to be denoted as an Indian, right? Let's see what the picture says. It says a portrait whole length of Madame Chevalier, in the character of Virginia, running lightly up from right to an African who sits under a tree, a basket on the floor beside him, giving him water, which she has scooped from a stream behind her, after Hennard Mezzo, whatever. And when was this done? This was done in 1799. That's kind of funny. So, this was done in 1799. And they're like, hey, we have these Africans in Virginia, right? But the same British website will show you these. Right? The same British website. What's up, Empress? Just look down there. I didn't, but that sounds accurate. What's up, Empress? Did you know jungle fever was the clinical term for malaria? Now that I didn't know. Amor for the last name. What's up, Amor? What's up, everybody? Somebody said he needed some help. But the same website will show you this and also call him a black boy. How is that? You know, is he an African black boy in America now, dressed up as an Indian by 1700? He's already had a identity crisis by 1700. Okay, I get it. He broke away and got his freedom as an African and became an Indian because he didn't know what else to be. It was either you had to be Indian, African, or European. So he picked this one. I guess that's what it is, right? But again, that right there helps to validate all of in my opinion, and we'll get to this. We're just kind of talking about some English slaves, right? And there ain't no black person on this bitch. Okay? But another one that's funny in the Library of Congress, that's in the Library of Congress, is that one right there. I tried to get the top part where it says Library of Congress. Now, I needed to study this a little bit more. I wish I could read what it says up here. It somewhat says like, well, something me lick you and make you worky. Something me, be gentlemen, course of heart. I don't know. And then you got some other stuff over here, but I tried to upload it in multiple ways. One time about sugar and tobacco. If I have my something and sugar and tobacco at the something, so it's hard. I don't know what it's saying, but I mean I read the caption. We'll go over that. You got. And I don't know if this was like propaganda put out because you got the black folks over here dancing and eating and chilling. And then you got this one over here about to beat the shit out of this. Look, I don't care if it was propaganda or not. I had to save it. I don't care if it's fake. It wouldn't be fake because it's in the Library of Congress. But what I mean by fake is like this could be drawn by a YT person. And in order to put out a warning that maybe if you don't vote that this could happen to us or something, or this could have been what was happening, and I don't know. I have to be able to read the damn and it didn't have no caption. It didn't have an explanation on that bitch. And even at the bottom it just says abolition of the slave trade or the man the master. So that's why I said it could be like them putting out a little propaganda like, oh, if you abolish the slave trade, we'll become the slaves. But that doesn't make sense because if you abolish it, then you wouldn't be a slave. So then I'm just like, are you trying to say I don't know. I don't know. But it's in the Library of Congress. Okay? Nonetheless, it's in the Library of Congress. He said, is that sugar cane? I don't know, but that'd be funny. I could beat your ass with this sugar cane. Oh, that's pretty funny. Beat that nigga ass with the sugar cane. This shit ain't sweet, nigga. Pat, pat. Oh, I thought you thought shit was sweet. Shit crazy. But and he got him by his hair. That's even more crazy. As he down there praying for his life. And look how he dressed. Like a damn caveman. Like everything about this makes me really wonder what in the hell is going on. But this was in the Library of Congress. Another thing that was in there, I have to cover that part up. But you got this thing in here where they say, hey, after the slave trade was abolished, it's like we got some, what did they call it? It says philanthropic constellations after the loss of the slave trade. That's what it said. Let me do this because she got her breasticles out. Philanthropic constellation after the loss of the slave bill. And I was like, what does that mean? And when you look at this, you got Miss Piggly Wiggly YT woman over here getting it in with the big black chick. She got a glass of wine held up, you know what I'm saying? And then over here, she got her little breasticles out and he puffing gas like he about to get a little piece of these things, you know what I'm saying? And one of the things that got to me was the fact that she has, even though they're in the color of gold, they're really pearls around her arms, neck, and in our ears. And from those who don't know, I got a whole section actually. Now that I got my shit, I finally went through my whole motherfucking iPad, finished that. So this whole section talks about pearls and how not only do I have sculptures of pearls and paintings of us with pearls, but I have excerpts of many books of different explorers and different people saying, man, look at all these goddamn pearls out here. And these people wearing all these pearls everywhere. Okay, multiple different books, whether it be De Soto, as you see. They sometimes would wear, good God. They sometimes would wear long strings of triple or quadruple rows of pearls around their neck. So that's one, and that's by Hernando de Soto. That's what they're saying. He said when he got here. Now, one thing that I also find interesting. He said you notice a lot of Indians and pearls. I love pearls. Yeah, but you know what? You'll notice us in pearls, right? Pearls, double pearls, right? Pearls, neck, arms, and on the ears. Just look, neck, arms, and the ears, just like, right? And that's how an Indian was drawn by painted by a German painter. But that's no different than Miss Chesticles out, right? Round the arms, round the neck, and in the ear. I said, oh, I pay attention to everything. Okay. So I said, all right. But also, let me go back to that. I need to stop the smacking on my playback. I be listening. I be smacking too much. I don't know if it's because if it's because it's just my demeanor. Because I be doing all that smacking when I'm just talking and chilling. I don't think. I had to listen. Somebody mentioned something. They said it was the food. They was like, man, great 4-hour playback. You know what I'm saying? This and that and the third. But if I subscribed. I love the content. Can I just say one thing? The food was a little distracting. I was like, the food, nigga. What food you talking about? My bad. I'm looking for my what you call it. I'm like, what food is you talking about? I like that nigga probably talking about me smacking like a motherfucker on these motherfuckers. So okay. So pearls, right? So all of these excerpts, you got Hernando de Soto saying that we was wearing pearls and that he found all these pearls everywhere. You got this book called The Discovery of California Northwest. He said the sea expedition from California brought pearls of rare value from unknown coast and strange stories, blah, 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 right? I was like, oh, okay, pearls. So anytime I see pearls in a book and I'm reading, I'm always snapping. Somewhere in this book, whatever book this is, I had to translate it in ChatGPT. It says pearls probably somewhere in here. I hate when I don't highlight it. That's the new thing. When I take my screenshots, I'm going to start highlighting every section that's important because I literally had to reread every page that I ever screenshot on my iPad in order to figure out how to, where to organize it. And I was just like, God damn, I got to read every one of these pages. But that was kind of cool because it was just like almost reviewing things that you've done before, and it really kind of got me even finding more shit. But okay, pearls. Pearls are somewhere on here. They adorn their necklaces and collars and things they place around their necks in their fashion. So they're adorn their necks and their collars. Okay, right here. Their wealth was pearls. Many beautiful shells from which they made fine adornments. And then, of course, they said they adorn themselves with necklaces, collars, and other things they placed around the neck, arms, and legs, okay? So you got many different excerpts. And here's another one, a book. It's still talking about De Soto, but it's a different book by James Ader versus The Letter of Hernando de Soto. And this one talks about pearls somewhere up in here, okay? And I'm pretty sure I got some more. But either way... also, this dude, he says, this is from a video, a screenshot I took out of a video when they were unearthing mounds, okay? And this is the Hopewell area or whatever. And it says one group of Hopewell people in Hamilton County, Ohio, collected and then deposited 48,000 pearls in artifacts of deposits. Okay. You said go back. You saw Counterfeit Chikwe. Yeah, you. Oh yeah, I saw it too. Just for a second, I'll let you screenshot that. You can get your screenshot on real quick. I'm gonna read through that. I know I've read it. It talks about his expedition on that particular page. I don't have a page number listed there. But if you get this book, let's just control F and put Counterfeit Chikwe in there. You can, or go to the find feature. I'm sorry, not control F, because they got a find feature within it specifically. You'll find that page pretty easy. For sure. And so pearls, right? So pearls. Everybody got on these pearls. All these melanated peoples with the pearls, right? Even on these, you got these people depicted with pearls in their ears. And you don't even have to do that. That's kind of a mundane thing to do on such a black and white kind of, drawn thing. It's like you barely even gonna see it. So why even do it? Well, people, that just let you know how important people let you know. Look, man, these people always got their pearls rocking. I think very deep into a lot of these little things, these little small details. Cause you really ain't gotta do that. Like if I was drawing this shit, I'd be like, why am I gonna do that, man? It's already hard enough to draw the person. I'm gonna draw some earrings on them, man. That's pointless. Well, I'm selling tobacco on top of that. Why do I gotta do that? Why do I gotta be so accurate? And I'm selling tobacco. Let me put this right there so that way I can see y'all's comments. It's frequency chakra healing. I always misspelled it. Wow. I love pearls. So mound builders and American Indians had pearls. Yeah, because the mound builders are the American Indians. Mm-hmm. Or the descendants of the mound builders, you can say. But no, they are the... hold on, I missed. What'd you say, Tasha? Said the people of Jamestown knew which Indians were in charge by seeing them wearing pearls. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good. That's some good info. And that says a lot, because it continues. Because who's wearing pearls? I showed y'all we wearing pearls, right? And I can show that all these are going to show pearls, right? All of them. So who's not depicted wearing pearls like that? Well, on that same British website, that's why I started off the video live stream with this dude, which again, you see how fake that is. You never have such a hard transition in gradients, in shadows, in colors, unless it's been manipulated. Now, his eyes already looked iffy to me. I was already like, when I first saw it, I was like, man, that shit looked weird. And then I looked and I immediately saw that line on his face. I said, get out of here, man. And that's why I said, look, what if you had to doctor up hundreds of photos, you think you're going to make a mistake here and there and not fill in fully some areas? You damn sure right. I've done Photoshop. I've done a lot of Photoshop. Still do for like when I'm my business and shit. Making flyers. Even for my podcast shit, whatever. But I've done all the taking people's, I could put a face on a face or move, all this other alterations or whatever, photographs. That's what I'm trying to say. And I can instantly tell that that's an alteration, just like everybody else should. But regardless of that, eventually I typed in Native Americans because I wanted to see what would come up in the British Museum under Native Americans. And so then you get a bunch of these Native American photographs, right? And no, again, now that I've showed you that one dude looks odd, now I see that same face, I feel like, used, if not for multiple different people. Because I don't think that this was the same. I think that was different, but they almost looks like the same face, especially the eyes. And the way that these people just look so unemotional, so dead looking, so nothing. It doesn't tell me that they was happy. And those are not pearls. And these people are mostly not pictured with any pearls. Okay, those are not pearls. in my opinion. I don't think any of those are pearls. And in most cases, these people look like people coming from, like if we pull up Ellis Island, folks, they would look just like this. And this ain't the historical way that the Indians were depicted by anybody. They didn't wear their sheets all over themselves, those sheets like that all over themselves like that. At least they didn't put it on themselves like that when we wore sheets, and they didn't have these. This is just not it. It's just not it. They didn't describe us with hair going down like that, looking like that. They didn't describe that. That would be hard to do with our hair. It can get there if you lock it or whatever, keep it protected. But ours got so much shrivel. So much breakage and everything else. And look at that. Look at this. And I'm pretty sure those aren't pearls. That looks like a damn wig, a cricket wig at that. Look at that person, right? Like, this ain't the historical, and these are taken supposedly in the mid 1800s. I find it funny. It's just like all of these perfected photographs, that these people took, like they're trying to play games, telling the story, right? Even this. Now, nobody's really even wearing feathers, and then you get to somebody like that just playing games. You know what I'm saying? Now, nobody's really had on the feathers up until now. He ain't got no, and nobody explained a brew. It looks like a dust broom. What do you call it? A straw broom or whatever. And these are some more to people. So, these are literally what they want you to believe. Now, are those pearls? Those ain't no damn pearls. What the hell is that? It's like some wooden beads or some shit. But notice the eyes. Notice the eyes and the face. None of this looks. It said that's a feather fan, medicine man. Well, how about he has some herbs in his hand and not a broom? What the hell you gonna get? What the hell you gonna do with a goddamn broom? See, that's the idiotic shit. Let me show you. Because I have a whole section in here where they talk about the Indians and their medicinal-like practices. And none of those medicinal practices was holding up a motherfucking broom. You fucking sweep with a goddamn broom, okay? That's what the fuck you do with that. Get shit off the floor. All right? Now, in here, several passages. Let's see. Here I'm going with the lip smacking. I hear my damn self. Let's see. Let me find one for you. I hate that I didn't highlight. Now I'm starting to highlight. Freedom. Indians of Louisiana, Chile, with a skillful experience. Take a lesson. Same school as part. Doctors. Look, this is a section about the Chickasaw, Natchez, whatever. Indian doctors. Okay. I believe it is an acknowledged fact there is no notion in existence or has ever existed but has had doctors. This shows the importance of the profession. The Choctaws also were not without them, but perhaps with the advantage over all others of having as many females as of the male sex who were quite as successful in their practice as the latter. The doctors made use of herbs and roots, okay, in various forms, applied and given in different modes for emetics, cathartics, whatever, sweats, wounds, and sores. They also made use of cold baths, scarification, cupping, and blistering by means of burning punk, and practiced suction to draw out pain. Some used enchantment, while others practiced by magic, pretending to have learned the art of healing more Mormon-like. by special revelation communicated to them in some retired and unfrequented forest. It was in this way also, it was said, that the war prophets were raised up and blah, 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 blah. Okay? So main thing to get from this is that they use herbs and roots. They do things like suction and scarification. Now, when they talk about the enchantment and magic, you can think of that like healing through frequencies or healing through using stones, doing, other kind of practices that people would say is magic. Like, you know what I'm saying? Herbs and roots, exactly. Now, the dude that we just seen, that was, and let me just Google that. I'm curious. Native American medicine men. Let me just see what pops up on the images. You know what's funny? What you don't probably see is these niggas holding up no herbs and roots. Okay. I'm not gonna see any herbs, any roots, any special chakra healing practices. No, a lot of times you see shit like this. A nigga with a bunch of bones around his neck. What the fuck? Where you get them bones? To me, if you got bones around your neck, that means motherfuckers be dying in your care. Okay? That means you ain't really doing no healing. Okay? You doing some killing. All right? The fuck? The herbs and crystals were in their medicine bag. You said the herbs and crystals were in their medicine bag. It must have been in ours. I don't know about these guys because I don't even see these guys got a bag. Yeah, these guys ain't even got no bag next to them. The ones that they portraying on here, that's pretty damn sad. I could believe we had some in a bag. But all they medicine man looks like some whimsical weirdo. Like, he looks like the most cosplayer of the motherfucking tribe, if you was to ask me. How can you tell he's a medicine man? Well, he has more feathers on than everybody. That means he knows what he's talking about. Excuse me. Some Moors. Oh, excuse me. Or tobacco leaf and crowns. His feathers. Moors wore tobacco leaves as crown and feathers. Typically, I see him with the fez, but that could be possible. Bone collectors, some buffalo bones. It said the original Afro-Americans were the original Moor Empire. No, I don't believe that. Superficial ass shit, for real. Somebody said, look, a witch doctor. Yeah, no, I don't believe everybody was just the Moors like that. At some point, Moor did denote the word black for a while. And that could have been its initial thing. I got some pretty old definitions and some pretty old literature going back, calling black lookership people Moors. But a lot of times that's modern times, that's more of a European thing. It's more. I'll give Moors the Europe area, and they're some of the people that came back over here, but they came from us. We didn't come from them. In my opinion, there are mounds in Europe, just like there are mounds in America. But there's more mounds in America than Europe. But there's mounds in Europe. There's pyramids all over the Americas. There ain't no pyramids really like that in Europe, but there are mounds. There's pyramids. Actually, I've seen a couple of somewhat like pyramids that are kind of hidden in Europe. I wish I could pull them up. There's mounds in. I did a whole video about it. There's mounds. It went pretty big too. There's mounds in Japan. There's mounds in China.
Vampire.
Where you won't see mounds is Africa, but you see them all throughout the United States. Hundreds of thousands of them, and that's even after they've unearthed a lot of them since they got here. So. Just based off the mounds alone, see if I can find this one. Just based off the mounds alone, I'd say we didn't come from the Moors. If anything, we went over there, we expanded, left America, went over there, built up all the shit over there, brought all this stuff over there. If you watch We Know the Truth Now, he gives all the clues on that. We built up all that over there, whatever the case may be. At some point, I believe, there it goes. At some point, I believe YT folks got created probably by Africans, incest breeding and genetic modification. And then next thing you know, their little YT men started running amok and started taking over Europe first and assuming identities. I got videos about that too. It'd be good to actually go over some of that tonight. You know what, we can go over, because I really didn't have no... I really didn't have no rhyme or reason for the night. I just couldn't sleep. So we could go. Tasha says she believe that too. Pigs get people. Yeah, and I believe Africans, created them, and I believe their creation ran them up. It's just like anything else. It's like think about creating a bunch of, like the whole Terminator thing. You create some robots, and then the robots can now create their own robots, and they run them up. Well, you can just turn off the electricity on their whole ass. You can hit a central computer and fuck them up. But imagine creating a whole new species and they take off running in patches everywhere and they fucking together and acting crazy and fucking on animals and stuff. They crazy, right? And you think everything's fine. And next thing you know, these niggas start coming up and start taking y'all niggas over. These niggas been living in the woods and in the caves for a while. They done got a little pissed off. And now look at us. Now we all ran over. Now I'm going to show y'all two videos to kind of help prove that. This is one about the tombs in Japan.
That's a mound. In Japan. Over 116,000 mounds exist in Japan. And they have their emperors buried in them. Just like the mounds in the United States. Okay? But this isn't about mounds. Actually, I'm not even going to bring up a lot of sources like I always do. In fact, I'm going to talk about what I believe.
Well, I know me on this one, I like to show a lot. On this one, okay. I start to go into how there's no mounds in Africa.
Now, the story is, this is where mankind...
But this ain't my video about just mounds in Africa. Oh, here, is this it? This might be it. Hold on.
Mounds for America. Hundreds of thousands of
them. Yeah. Okay. This is it right here.
Now, they got me thinking.
Yeah, this one.
There's mounds all over America. Hundreds of thousands of them. Okay? Now, they got me thinking. Are there any mounds in Africa? And well, when you Google it, it says yes. There are termite mounds in Africa. Okay?
Now that's some bullshit. Now if you call this a mound, and one is whether a termite did it or an African did it, nigga, that is pathetic. if you know what mounds look like for real, and many of y'all do, some of y'all don't. That's the best Africa got for you right there. Okay, that's the best they can do because they can never do too well. They can never do too good. Now. Let me let this keep going as I roll this other one up.
And they look something like this. Pretty horrible indeed. And Africa claims to be where humanity started, where civilization itself started. Now, first of all, they try to claim what goes on in Egypt. Egypt, of course, as we can tell, is closer to Arabia and Europe.
Yeah, think about that. Now, I've said this for quite some time. I was like, now, first of all, Egypt, and not only is Egypt way up here, but even the pyramids is at the corner of Egypt. And you got all these Africans that be talking their shit, that be living down in this zone talking about we are the ones that built the pyramids, niggas. We know everything. That is our civilization. I'm like, first of all, I could try to believe that, but y'all got so much desert and dust between y'all. I know y'all ain't crossed that motherfucker. Y'all ain't crossing that motherfucker today. So I know y'all ain't crossed it. Y'all didn't build that shit. That bitch is up there by Arabia. Okay, that shit is up there by the Middle East more than it is by goddamn Africa. If anything, maybe an Ethiopian can claim it. They can kind of hit the coast. Okay, maybe it was built by Ethiopians. Well, they don't look like them Africans over there. You know what I'm saying? But the main thing too is this is the only place where you're gonna find it. You don't find pyramids here and over here and all these kingdoms and pyramids and mound structures going down. Now, in comparison, real quick, when you come to the Americas, first of all, because Mexico don't be bullshitting like the United States, and they actually start to uncover their pyramids compared to the United States, because they be bullshitting. You got pyramids all down through here and all down through here. You can just really just come here and type pyramids. Pyramids. I hate that it does that. It'll send you to where you live and do that. That's not what I asked. Search this area. Now look at that. When I select search this area. Now, just looking at it off top compared to that termite period you saw, right? Look at the size of the people and the whole goddamn pyramid mound. Look at the people right. Let's see if I can get that picture. Look at the people at the top of that bitch. Going to the top. Oh, there we go. Look at that shit, man. That is an enormous amount of fucking building. That's a mountain. That's literally a mountain. We create mountains. Okay? We created literal mountains over here. Set in the rainforest. We're related to ancient Kemet in America. Half of Africa is a Sahara Desert. America has Mississippi, Amazon. Exactly. All that is still a part of the Rome. I said all that is still part of Rome. Where do you believe Rome is at? You think Rome is in Europe? I hope you don't think that. I hope you don't think Rome was in Europe. And you can see the people right there. Now compare that to the now look at the pyramids. Now this is just the locations they showed of those, but there's some more pyramids. Search right here. Excuse me. Let's search down here by the Yucatan Peninsula. There goes some more pyramids. Let's go over here because there's all kind of them right here. I don't know why it's not showing right here. Good God, come on now. Search this area. Come on now. I swear, electronics. Look, you see, now it popped up. Why did I have to do that? That's just idiocracy right there. But and then look at some of the way that the pyramids are, like the step pyramids. And I mean, these are giant, geometrically perfect in some cases structures. Like these aren't just some shit that's just haphazardly built. Like something like that, it takes a lot of skill. They don't. What kind of leveling equipment did they have? How did they know they were making straight lines? How did they know exactly how they was going to build it to where it would be perfect geometrically going up like that on all sides as a step pyramid? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's made out of hard ass whatever stone, granite, whatever the case may be. Let's get back to the video to show you. Well, just to say this last thing. So you got pyramids all throughout here. You got pyramids throughout here too. They just playing games. But you got mounds, hundreds of thousands of mounds all throughout here in Indian territory. Also over here, you got all kind of ruins of Egypt within within Sedona, Arizona, and the Grand Canyon and stuff that people be playing games on. It's called, you got Isis Temple. For those people that don't know, you got Isis Temple out in this bitch. Why is Isis Temple in Arizona? And why does it look like a pyramid that's been weathered or something happened to it or blown up or something? And how come when I type temples right here, after I find the first temple, and type in temples, it'll give me multiple temples? And how come all of these temples got names like Confucius Temple, Horus Temple, Isis Temple? How come they look like some kind of patterns in these rocks going on? What's going on over here? What's happening? Was this accidentally done? Isis Temple, Osiris Temple, Temple of Osiris. Why is the Temple of... Who decided to name that? Who looked at that and said, you know what? That's Confucius Temple right there. Who said that? Somebody just went out there, some hippie got high on goddamn ayahuasca and went out there and started having a spiritual journey, zooted up spiritual journey. She said, "Teach." I don't know, why would they call these things this? Brahma Temple, Deva Temple, even they shit is over here. Why does it look like though? Why do all of these look like that? I don't know. But regardless of that, right? All this shit is over here. Along with amazing amounts of rivers, lush green land, full of just green, okay? The only area that really ain't that green is that area of the whole little desert area right there and whatever. And that's still green somewhat there. Everything is green. Everything is green, okay? It's dead over here. It's hella dead right here. How did this happen? Did y'all fuck the land up? Okay, let me get back to the topics. But what you won't have is you don't have all that throughout any of their continent. Okay, you just have it right there in the corner of the tip. So what I'm getting to is you can't say that culture propagated throughout the whole continent because there is nothing to show that it propagated throughout the whole continent. If anything, we probably strode our ass on over here, started building mounds, you know what I'm saying, this and that, and we came over here and said, hey, there's niggas down here. What do you call, what did Bobby Hemmett call them? He called them, what did he call it? He said, oh yeah, antagonistic spirit ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, they look a little different. Let's see if we can help them out. Let's build a little college. We'll show them how to build a pyramid or two or something. Or this could have just been built up by white folks just to fake it. Or we'll show them how to build a pyramid or two because I just don't believe they did it. Why would I believe they did it? They ain't got no mold. We got tons of them. Why would I think they did that when we did these? Okay? I just don't see it. Okay, so then you got the mounds over here, and then you got mounds in Japan as well. So let's get back to that, and I'll let that finish up.
And it is to where most people live below this here desert. Most people didn't cross this desert. If anybody crossed the desert, 1, 2, if they wanted to get around there, they would have had to travel around the coastline to get there. So who's closer to this? It would be people who would have already been up here. They could have easily traveled there to Egypt. Could have easily just went across the water, went around the coastline, whatever from Europe. So they don't really have hardly any prehistoric structures or anything major in Africa besides something way up there. But besides there being numerous mounds in America, and they show you...
most of almost half of their continent is dirt, literally.
A list of some of the more popular ones and the largest ones. When you start looking elsewhere in the world, there's actually mounds damn near everywhere except Africa. For us that so-called have so many similarities, how come there are no mounds in Africa? When you look up, are there burial mounds in Japan? Yeah, there's burial mounds in Asia. They call them kofuns.
A tomb for one of Japan's long line of divine emperors. covering over 400,000 square meters. The Dyson
Look at how big that mound is. Look, that's a city around that hole. Okay, and they have an emperor buried in there. And why is that important? Because we would bury our chiefs and caciques in mounds, as well as our relatives and stuff, but they definitely was buried in big mounds. And they had, and I was just reading about one from in South Carolina, Geechee area, where they had theirs as a mound there with one of theirs in it, and then it's like this old thing, but whatever. When I was going through my receipts, so yeah, just think about that. And these people are preserving them this way, and they use it as like an area to where you can, like, almost like a park or a lake or something. But also notice they're all in keyhole shapes, so it's not only just a mound, but they made it into the shape of a keyhole.
is considered the largest tomb by area in the world. There are more than 160,000 Kofun dotting the Japanese archipelago.
There's 160,000 of these hoes just in Japan.
All of which contain the remains of emperors or their royal
Or
families.
maybe through Asia.
So your Japanese kofuns, there are over 160,000 of them around Japan, and they all contain remains of their emperors or whoever. Same thing in America. Not all of them contain people of just such high degree, but there's many of them did contain the remains of the chiefs and things of that nature. Just like here in America, the Cacique Malchia Mound had not only a book.
Yeah, so what's dope about this is a more recent mound that was uncovered, because Mexico don't be playing games like America, and they be actually uncovering the mounds. And look at that book that they found out of gold. Now, you know what's funny? Let me see if I can find that receipt. Let's see if I can find that receipt. I put it under here. I don't want to say it before I show it, and if I can't show it, then I'll say it. But that mound was just unearthed like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that, some shit like that. Down there in Mexico, near the Yucatan Peninsula, somewhat, and they found all that stuff. They found the Ark of the Covenant, of 2 Ark of the Covenants, like this. They found that. This is inside the mound. This ain't what I wanted to show you, but I just saw it, and this is what they found. That was the top of it. But they had found it, had already opened it. But right there, outside of the mound, that's what they found in there. Now, they found 2 of those. They also found those golden plates. Now, this looks like the Ark of the Covenant from the Bible, right? But I've heard that it was buried in many others. But they also found this book right here. But I was also trying to show who else found a book like that looks exactly like that. And they started a whole thing today. Just trying to find that damn receipt. Just organize my receipts. Where the fuck did I put it? If it's not under here, it might be under this. No. Might just end up having to say it, damn it. Let me try to type a search. Damn. I hate when I can't. When I'm about to make a hard-hitting visual fact, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you gotta see this, man. Hold on real quick. Because of old world, would it be under the old world shit? I'm gonna say likely not. because it's some old shit though. Check out the books, done, fan, old world buildings, milk, more. Damn, what the hell did I do with it? People of sunshine, reclassification, completion, storyline. Okay, right here. It was a video.
Morgan's upstate New York.
Look at that book right there. Wow. Look at that book right there. Don't that look pretty similar to the other book made out of golden plates? This is what the Mormons found too. Wow, Joseph Smith, the Joseph Smith story, who could translate Egyptian hieroglyphics in the sense that was on those plates. They said it. He said at the time it was Egyptian hieroglyphics. Well, that's pretty funny. What's on these plates? Egyptian hieroglyphics with some Hebrew words in Egyptian hieroglyphs. That's why I said I had to find it. The old boy, the Mormons. Yep, I just seen your doc on this. Oh yeah. Yeah, I need to go deep on that. So here we got in modern times somebody finding the same thing Joseph Smith found, but they're not going around making a whole church about it, calling America Egypt, which that's kind of funny. When you look at the Mormons and what they say, America was Egypt and all this other shit, it's like, oh well, shit, yeah, y'all niggas actually saying some shit. Say you have them states with the calendars and all that. Yep. So let me go back, let this play. As you can see, it's so many things to hit.
Of gold plates with written Egyptian hieroglyphs written of Hebrew words. But it also had the Ark of the Covenant with the cacique or chief buried inside of it. Okay, so America has mounds, Japan has mounds. Europe has mounds as well, many burial mounds. They list some of them here.
So obviously we got mounds in Europe. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going. Now it says Anglo-Saxon burial mound, but for those who don't know, the original Anglos and the original Saxons was black, melanated folk. So it's fine if they call it that. White tea folks have assumed everything. They have pretty much taken on all kind of people's stuff, and we're gonna get to that.
You got mounds in China, and the mounds hold their emperors and things of that nature. It even says that with some of these featuring step-like structures reminiscent of Mesoamerican pyramids, which means they likely got it from America.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Like you said, Dunn. Yeah, Dunn. And that was the surname, the exact surname that kind of made me blow the lid in the sense of on my own research. I know other people already, came up with these things. But I'm always research. Like, I listen to everybody. And I haven't heard everything. Everything that I've researched ain't stuff that I've heard from people. But I have heard people's things before. People say things. But nobody's ever... not nobody. Because there's people out there that show their work. Definitely. But it's not that those people can't show their work. They're just probably not as good at showing their work as others, But I've always listened to other people, and they'll say things like, all the people here was this, or this was the first, this was black, or whatever. But then it's one thing to say it, but it's one thing to have that good concrete proof. So how do they bury their prominent people in Africa? Shit, they probably eat them. They probably eat them. Where they gonna put him? Where they gonna bury him in the dirt and bury him under some trash until that motherfucker decompose with the trash? It all smells the same over there anyway, probably. Oh, them niggas dirty. Say, is this the same? Is this the same? I used to have gold chest that was on Indiana Jones. You know what? I would have to go watch that again. It's been a long time since I watched Indiana Jones, but I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of symbolism was in that movie. That it hit different when you do the work and show cited sources. It really do. It really do, because I gotta see it. You know, and unfortunately I do realize, you know, not unfortunately, but I do realize there's some unseen things in the world but that's more on a spiritual level, you know, like a mental and spiritual level, you know, things that we can't really perceive. I do know that there's things that are present, but like still, as far as when it comes to history, if you say something happened, I want to know where the hell you heard that. Now, you could just say, I got a download and I just believe that, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm always cool with that's more like being philosophical than being historical. So I'm cool with anybody being philosophical. We can chat about ideas on, you know, what we think happened all day. But when you start saying, when you get on a panel and be like, nah, y'all don't understand. This is what happened. All that bullshit you saying, it ain't even that. Didn't that? Because now not only are you acting pompous and kind of an asshole and cocky, but you're being an absolutist. Like everything you saying has to be fact, and you're shutting down the other people on the panel or in the conversation. And so that's not confidence. That's now you really being historical, and that's fine if you got the facts to be historical. But if you ain't got the facts, stay on the philosophical side.
And there's also burial mounds in your so-called India or Bharat or Hindustan. And they list some of the more prominent mounds below. So think about this. They want you to believe that these people were the first people on this planet.
Now think about this real quick. I Googled Europe, Asia. I Googled India. I didn't Google this little Middle East area or whatever. But I Googled India. I Googled Japan. We already knew America, so I didn't have to Google that. So everybody has mounds and had lists of mounds. The only thing Africa had was termite mounds.
They didn't build mounds. They didn't build pyramids either. The pyramids are way up there. These people don't have any buildings down here. They don't have any major structures. They don't have any pyramids. They don't have any mounds. They don't have any food. They don't have any water. And the only kind of mounds they can seem to come up with are these. And even when you look up their old...
Again, so when y'all saw our mounds, our mounds were so tall like mountains. You got people having to climb up them for a while, right? When you look at this mound, the tree is taller than the goddamn mound, okay? The tree. Okay? That's nothing. That's not a mound. I don't even know why they even played around and showed me any of this shit. They should have just said, no, Africa doesn't have mounds. Please don't ask anymore, okay? That would have been a better response. But, you know, here it is.
Structures. Yeah, like on top of that, besides the Egyptian...
So listen to this, too. Also,
these are...
Also, they don't have any good... They don't have any good buildings, old bug mounds. They don't have any good old like buildings. Weren't bringing food and drink for the deceased, but to have with the deceased. So weren't, but we'll have food. I don't know. Maybe I'm confused with what you're saying there, Empress. Our mounds have meaning. Yeah, and on top of that, the mounds that we have point to star constellations and shit. So it's not even just a dot. They're whole star constellations and earthworks and geometric shapes and stuff like that. Like, Oh, it's a part 2 comment. Oh, okay. Maybe I had to go. Hold on, let me go back up. Oh, okay. So now I'm thinking about that video you showed with the ceremony and the Gullah song. So they weren't bringing their food and drink for the deceased, but to have with the deceased. Oh, I see what you said. I see what you said. Yeah. Because they act like they honored because they was down there eating that rice. Yeah. That was probably that was their little appetizer before they took them out the dirt and chowed down on the remains. It's probably what they doing. That's pretty sad. But yeah, so also, they do be, and I got videos of that too. Of them on my, do I have it on my iPad? No, they're on my phone. Of them doing the little eating each other kind of thing. In 2025, I mean, they threw a nigga on a motherfucking bush of burning grass and barbecued his ass up and served him on the spot to niggas right there on the spot in the whole video. The shit is crazy. I don't even think he was done cooking and nigga was eating bites. I was like, come on, man. That's why these people are in their situation. Like, if you're that far behind mentally, spiritually, and all that, culturally, you ethically, everything, where y'all messing with kids, you're eating each other, you're doing all kind of corruption to each other, all that other stuff, man, y'all got so many holes to climb out of, man. Y'all never be on our level. They'll never be on our level. And I don't think they're supposed to be. I think they might be the real devil. We thought the white T-Man was the devil, but now we know that they created the white T-Man. What does that make them? What does that make them? Does that make Africa hell? Well, kind of looks like it. Kind of look like hell. Kind of look like people trying to escape out of hell to come over here to what they call the promised land. But on top of that, you don't have hardly any major structures. Like, all of our structures, let me show real quick. Let's say you look at our state capitol buildings, because we know we built them. We know we built the White House. If we built the White House, we built the rest of them. State capitol buildings. Now just look at the amount of direct geometric patterns, artwork. Everything is just mind-blowing. And I know we did it. I know we had some technology to do something and make it work. I know even the interiors of them are extravagant. When I'm reading these excerpts of these books, I got book excerpts talking about how we had stone buildings. Some of them is big enough to house an entire village. I was like, what kind of stone structures could make an entire village? Some of y'all seen my video on that. But now let's look at what, and that's just these. We also, you got the mounds and other stuff. But let's look at what Africa got, building wise. What kind of any kind of geometric like buildings or whatever, let's see what they got.
And the only kind of mounds they can seem to come up with are these. And even when you look up their old structures, like on top of that, besides the Egyptian stuff, these are kind of the things that you see that they list as the...
Now look at that shit. What the fuck is that? Not only is it nothing straight, what the hell is the little dots coming, the little logs coming out? Y'all climbing that bitch like goddamn monkey bars, nigga? What the hell going on with this bitch? And y'all can't make straight lines in this hole? That's not a pyramid, nigga. That's not even a perfect cone shape. What the hell is this? Okay? Hold on, let me see. Let me go back a little bit.
Old structures. Like...
Let's look at some of these. Like, look at that, right? They got many of this. This is their ruin. This is when you look up what are some of the most ancient buildings besides Egypt. Besides Egypt, what are some of the most ancient buildings and places? I don't think that wasn't over there in
On
Africa.
top of that, besides the Egyptian stuff, these are kind of the things that you see
That's just-
that they list as the oldest structures in Africa. What the hell is this? What the hell is these little knobs sticking out everywhere? Is that what you climb up? What are you climbing up to? This is what they do.
And if you thought they were just doing that on one structure, no, they thought that was cool, and they did it some more. And it ain't got no rhyme or at least if all of them went out at the same pattern or something, some cool pattern. But look, the motherfuckers are just stuck up in there. They didn't even straighten them out. Nigga, just put them in there. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Nigga, just put them in there. These are sticking downwards. Those are sticking that way. Like, the cone shape is all misshapen. What in the hell is going on? It's like a little kid trying to make looking at what we doing. Y'all know this is what, like, literally this is a visual representation of, they see what we do, like when our dances and our music, and they try to copy, and it turns out like this. Okay? This is exactly what it turns out like. They saw our pyramids, and they're like, nigga, we can do that, see? we said we got a step pyramid. They said we got steps too. They step pyramid. Nigga, what the fuck is this, nigga? Hold on.
This is their structures. There's no geometric pattern. There's no direct shape that's perfect. All of these are lopsided as whatever they are, cones. And just a freaking mess. This is another one of their most famous
So, like, this is the one that you can find that's the only thing that I found that was like a structure that was ancient to them. And it was just a house. It's just a house, a 2-story house, a 2-story box house. At least it's in a square pattern with, it looks like a house. You know what I'm saying? At least that. So let's keep it up.
Structures. It's really just a 2-story house. You know, in a country where building houses is hard to do, a 2-story house that stood the test of time is probably pretty historic over there. That compares nothing.
Yeah, like, look at it. Like, nigga, that's a step pyramid. That thing goes up so high in the sky, I'd be scared to climb it, to be honest with you, without guardrails going up the side to hold on to. And people be doing that shit without them rails. One day I plan on actually going out there. You can take a cruise and take a off of cruise onto there. It said it's a church, so I can't be so old. So that one thing was a church. So it can't be so old. See, they playing games and they put it up under there as ancient. Ancient to them is 1492.
Yo, to what's in America. Now you can just talk about sheer size of these.
And look at those. So, like, those are some smaller ones. And then look at that mountain. And then you got mountains in the back. That's what I say. We create mountains. You know how much rock and earth you got to move and structure together to do something like that? And to make the pattern and shape correct? Like, and to clear the area. And all these other things. Man, that's crazy. Crazy. And then these right here, they got actual house structures on top of the motherfuckers, right? So it's like your little bullshit house sitting on the ground, 2-story church ain't shit.
Things, but you also have to look at geometric shape, perfect form, pyramidal structures with buildings at the top or not. That's a mound that likely had a lot more going on it back then than just being a mound. We ain't gonna get into that. But look at these structures. Compare that to this. What the hell is this? Who conceived this? I'll tell you who. Some African is trying to take your place and make it seem like everything you did is what they did. Because they be playing.
Man, okay, so let me find this other video. So that was to kind of give you an idea, okay, that the mounds, we got mounds all over the place. And if they started here, the oldest ones are here, then, you know, that shows that we kind of propagated likely throughout, right? So then let me find this video where I'm going to show you kind of like how YT folks started to take over. So so these two videos kind of encompass almost like, okay, it's a little proof that everybody left out of America. And then what caused niggas to come back from America? I mean, from Europe and all that, back to America? Like the Moors and everybody. Why did they start coming back? What was going on that made them start running back to America in droves or coming to colonize? One of the two or both. This is going to help to encompass that when I can find it. Where you at? I got so much game on this motherfucker. Hope I don't overlook it. I know it's pretty far back, but it's, and for those who might know, it's a video I did about the ISH, ISH, talking about English or Spanish versus Spaniard. That video. Goodness. I just saw them one videos I did about the Cacique Malchia mounds. Shit, I got documentaries on top of documentaries worth of shit on this motherfucking TikTok, to be honest with you. Where the hell you at, man? I'ma find it. It should be very soon. But and the cool part, hold on. Since I see this, I gotta show you this first. So keep in mind the ideas that I said that Africans try to be like us, but they can't. And so whatever they do doesn't turn out as good as ours. So we're gonna look at quilting.
Quilt making. Was it just a good, talent that our so-called Black American people had, or was there something more to it? They made amazing things like this. But on this .gov source, they talk about...
No, hold on. Let me make sure this is the right one, because I did do this. Then I talked about them. I still probably show the Africans. I was kind of going in about the story of them, debunking the story of them using quilts for quilt codes. That's not the one. It would have been another one right next to this if I see it. If not, I'm just gonna go find. I just thought I saw it. Whatever. Because the reason why, because it would have showed the we do everything we do is like it's perfect geometric patterns. Like when we dance, it's a perfect geometric kind of dance, right? When we sing, we are on perfect harmonies. Okay? When we make anything we do, we are very much so in tune with the universal math that there is for art and creativity and imagination. Now, when you look at an African, everything they do is not that way. That's what the whole thing with the buildings. Like, when I look at all these old world buildings and the perfect geometric patterns, like, especially all the little intricate details, I'm just like, dude, it's insane that people even took the time at a stone to do this shit. And that's the work of real creative artists that really wanted to make a staple. Here it is right here.
I pulled this information from a school textbook, so people...
Let me make sure. Yep. Okay, so this is gonna show kind of how YT folks kind of took over. Dang, it's 12:30. Okay, how YT folks kind of took over after we went other places, right?
I pulled this information from a school textbook, so people want to tell me about sources. I still don't think this is the best source, but it gives credit. You have Jutes, Angles, Saxons moving into areas. What are they doing?
So just to show,
I pulled this information from a school textbook, so people want to tell me about sources. I still don't think this is the edit.
so you got this map: Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, Jutes, and they start moving towards France, England, Switzerland, Ireland, Scotland, Poland, all of that. And what are they doing? And this area is like Germany at the time. Now, mind you, these people also were black at one time. That's a whole nother, I don't think I'll really dive into that on this video. But, because then you'll have to start asking, well, where did the YT folks come from before they got there? Well, the story from YT folks keep saying they come from the Caucasus Mountains. And even with a lot of old creation stories that I used to look up, they always say that they came from the Caucasus Mountains. They try to say everybody came from the Caucasus region. And then they migrated to Asia, Europe. They didn't even start talking about Africa being a creation story thing until 1980, 1970s to 80s. But prior to that, it was always the Caucasus Mountains. And when you think about it, okay, yeah, y'all playing games. Because if y'all creation story this whole time, not y'all's, but the creation story y'all been running with this whole time publicly, and I might be able to find that video. Actually, I should be able to. It's on here. But if that's your creation video story, then to me you playing games because you're trying to tell everybody that we all started in the Caucasus Mountains and we would all be Caucasians. Come on, that don't make no goddamn sense, right? So I already knew that they was playing around with the creation story forever. Because that had been really their main topic for the longest. Sometimes they would say Asia, out of Asia. But a lot of times it was the Caucasus Mountains. And so I think like when I start to think about it like this. When I told y'all YT folks was created by the Africans, right? Through interbreeding and genetic modification. I can show that on the video too. Through white folks saying that. We'll play that. In fact, let's play that real quick before this. Because this is longer and that one's just like a minute and a half. And I can find it real fast. But these people, if the Africans created them, and the Caucasus Mountains is right there, by the goddamn, did I put it under here? And the Caucasus Mountains is right there by the what did I call it? African monkeys, maybe. I got a category called African monkeys. Anyway, here he goes. Okay. So this is my section called Where Do They Come From? You see, and I'm gonna play this, but like if the Caucasus Mountains, I'll show y'all for those who don't know exactly where the Caucasus Mountains is. If the Caucasus Mountains is which is about somewhere around this region or something, some shit around here somewhere. So I start to think, if y'all been saying for a while that people started here and then they migrated that way, then eventually now y'all started talking about Africa, and I know that y'all was created. Well, if they created y'all, that makes sense. Some niggas done went up there to the mountains and done created some YT folks. It's right there, right? And then after they create them niggas get to running amok and came up over to here, right? That's what I'm believing. Got to be the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, and then we're gonna see what they did after that. But let me show you this video first.
Variation, etc., is nearly impossible, and in fact, this has led the genetics crowd really into some really big problems trying to explain things like this. And so what they'll do is, yes, quite rightly, the mitochondrial DNA has fluctuated, and you can backtrack that fluctuation. But what else has happened in terms of other interventions to do with both the DNA and with the things that control what DNA does can actually happen an awful lot faster if deliberately put in there. Right.
But there is a special, do you want to explain the special about melanin and how it protects the cell, the DNA inside the nucleus? That's very important.
Part of the reason you can't do these experiments, where there's a lot of melanin around, the melanin actually in a lot of people.
Just to catch up, he said some about some genes and cells or whatever, and he said that there's these mutations that can happen and you can track them, but they will happen a lot faster if you put something in there deliberately. Okay? And now they're talking about genes in black people.
In black people, it's actually spread out through the skin. It spreads out through the cells and covers everything. But even in a lot of white people, the melanin actually will coat the nucleus of the cell. And therefore the DNA, your central DNA, even in white people, can be actually well protected from the actions of the ultraviolet light.
There's no doubt in people with higher melanin, natural higher melanin, that it's far more likely that melanin will be coating the nucleus, the cell wall of the nucleus of the DNA. Now the point about that is that ultraviolet light, which is often used to splice DNA, is blocked by that melanin. It absorbs.
So let me catch you up there. Let me catch you up. So they're saying that, hey, white folks versus black folks have different amounts of melanin. Well, we know that. We can see that. Well, melanin does what? Absorbs ultraviolet light. Turns it into energy. For us, not for them, right? And then, so also they said the melanin will be also coating the cell wall. So if you're trying to go in to splice a gene, and splicing a gene means to cut open your DNA strand and attach something to it or put something in there deliberately, like he just said, deliberately putting something into your DNA to make something different happen, right? But they use ultraviolet light to do that in order to splice the genes. Well, when you use the ultraviolet light on black people's cells, it just absorbs it. So it doesn't allow you to actually cut it. It just keeps absorbing it. That's that good old God-like shit in us, you know? But when you do that to a white one, there is not enough melanin there to absorb it, and it allows you to cut it and put something in there deliberately. Okay? But let's keep going.
It doesn't allow it in to interfere with the DNA. And it could well be, and this is Nigel's thesis, that this was a blocker for them when they were trying to genetically alter the species. And therefore, when maybe just out of random mutation, something like an albino came along.
Notice how they said that.
Maybe just out of random mutation, something like an albino came along.
Now you got to think about it. First of all, you got for what am I again, brother? Built-in sunscreen, right? So you got to think about it. She says something like a random albino comes along. Now, why do I credit Africa for creating YT folks? Well, nobody could do genetic modification on nobody until albinos came along. Not to say that albinos wouldn't happen in the Americas. It could happen amongst us as well. But it happens at a very, very, very much higher rate when you do a particular thing. What do you do that causes albinos to happen more often than other people? It's called incest. The more you have, exactly. The more you have that, exactly. The more you have mutations in DNA which go towards recessive. So think about it. They keep doing it, and they still do it today. Keep going over there, keep having these babies, right? And then these babies, these albinos probably have babies with other albinos after a while, and they start wondering, man, how can we, let's test these folks out. Like what's making them so white? You know, and the little doctors over there start to doing a little testing. seeing if they can come up with what the reason is. Oh, there's something in these cell walls that's missing. Ah, okay. See how it's going? Let's keep going.
They discovered, wow, we can get straight in.
Right.
And it may well be that the paler-skinned nation, people on the earth, have that pale skin because of this genetic experimentation to make things easier for them to work on human DNA. And in fact, Professor Steve Jones argues that this thing about vitamin D being, paler skin being there to allow vitamin D to be absorbed and so on, all these theories about why pale skin happened in the first place, he believes it's not an adequate explanation. There is no real explanation or justification for the need for pale skin at all.
Yeah, because I think if
Dark skin is always an advantage in every circumstance.
Right, because most people would just automatically assume.
So yeah, there we go. He said go to Appalachia, you see the effects of generations of inbreeding and the genetic defects. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to look. I'm probably gonna look into that for this. I'm gonna do a documentary about this. Yeah. That's gonna be fun. I wonder if I can get me a couple geneticists to interview. Yeah, they're not gonna like me, but I need some more sources on that. But yeah. So now let's get back to the video here. So think about this. With the last two videos, you've realized to a decent degree, and to a logical way, like not some whimsical, philosophical kind of way. And it's not 100% proving all these things that I'm showing you, but it kind of makes sense. The world was likely populated from the Americas, right? We likely populated and moved about into these other areas, right? According to Bobby Hemmett, I didn't show y'all that. That's another video. Where do Africans come from? I think they're like this antagonistic spirit that was created that looks like us, that's like us, but it's not us at all. And they will always be antagonistic against us, no matter what, for whatever reason. And they're like our arch nemesis on this motherfucking plane. So they're there, but they're not moving. They're never developed. They never moved around. That bullshit talking about they had empires and moved around and this and that. I don't believe that shit at all. Them niggas have been stuck on that goddamn forsaken ass motherfucking dead ass continent. And that wouldn't be bad if they figured out how to do better and move better and build it up. But they ain't figured it out, so it gets worse and worse, right? We've been moving about the world this whole time and doing our thing, and now all of a sudden, all they've been doing is degeneracy. So all the degeneracy has now produced a bunch of recessive people and then they start testing on the recessive people and doing other kind of crazy shit. Now those recessive people are running amok, and now they've made their way into Europe. They don't release these niggas into Europe, but let's see what happens when they get into Europe. It says I gotta watch Bobby Hemmett. Never gave him a shot on my studies. Man, Bobby Hemmett, watch his later shit. His earlier shit, you could watch it. It's a lot. He does a lot of research on conspiracies and aliens and shit, but he would still do a lot of shit about black issues, conspiracies here that turned out to be real, like your chemtrails and stuff. He was talking about Egyptian shit a lot, but the later shit, the when he realized that Egypt is in America and Africa really ain't what it's supposed to be and all this other shit, and he really be going in. But yeah, so now let's see what happens when them YT folks make their way somewhat in Europe.
You have Jutes, Angles, Saxons moving into areas. What are they doing?
When you look at the history of Europe, approximately 400 AD, a group of Europeans coming from the northern part of Europe, which you call Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and what you call Russia and Denmark. They came down in a series of invasions starting in 400 AD, and they smashed the Roman Empire. These invasions continued to push 500 AD, 600 700, 800, 900, they kept pushing down into Central Europe. When these groups of people who are beginning this invasion, they're called Germanic people. They will come in and exterminate the Europeans who are presently there, which were primarily
Now I'm gonna go back just a second, but he said that these people are
Germanic people.
Germanic people. Now a lot of the people in the United States will say they have Germanic origins. A lot of them. Okay, let's keep that in mind.
They will come in and exterminate the Europeans who are presently there, which were primarily Romans and Celts. Those Europeans you call Germanic people. Three sets of these German people would go into what is now England or Great Britain. England and Great Britain was previously occupied by a group of Europeans called Celts, who are now survived as the Irish, the Scottish, the Wales. So those Germans invaded into what you call England. The three groups that invaded the German groups are Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. They will come in and invade what you call England and exterminate the Irish.
So let me stop it there. I'm gonna get a little bit closer here, but wait a minute. Now that you've heard him, so you don't think it's just a black man that said it, here it is in the textbook. Angle.
And you got to think about this when I found this. Come on now. Like, I had watched that video about that black dude sometime before this. I wasn't searching for this in a book. I wasn't searching for this topic at all. How did I find this? My thinking pattern, or how I even got to this book, is at the time I was like, you know what? I wonder what the old history books used to say about history in school. Because if they're teaching it in school, it's either propaganda, of course, or, you know, whatever it is. But it would have been in the lexicon, right? So I was like, let me go look up like some old books and see what I find. And like I had found some about Alex Haley from Roots in a book, and I had made a video about that. But then I turned over on a page and I saw Anglo-Saxons and Jutes. Started reading. The reason why I went to this page, let me tell you first the reason why I went to this page. Because it's a whole book, right? Whole table of contents. Why did I end up on this page? The origins of English. In my head, I said, origins of English? People been talking about that on motherfucking TikTok forever, man. Let me see what the hell they said the origins of English was. That is literally my whole thinking pattern. I came to the book looking for history, just to see what kind of propaganda and shit I can uncover, whatever. When I got in here, I saw this chapter saying the origins of English. Came in here. When I go down here, this motherfucker says Anglo-Saxons and Jews, and I said, God damn it, I know a video about that. Okay, when I'm telling you shit just be coming, it ain't like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, here we go.
Saxons, Jutes,
going
really into these areas in that time frame. In the 400s, he ain't lying. Coming in a little closer, Beatty, whoever it is, describes the invaders as belonging to the three most powerful nations of Germany: Saxons, Angles, and Jutes.
All four of them. Germany, Saxons, Angles, Jews. So old boy telling me the truth, ain't he? All right.
The first group to arrive in the Jute land in the north part of Denmark and whatever. And without
Denmark, Norway, Sweden, what he said from the north, right? Okay, pushed down, came. So however they got up there, they came down. But let's go.
Going into it, they talk about the invasions that happened. So let's get to this. The definition of the suffix ish means what? That means putting it on the end, for those who don't know. Putting ish on the end of a word, like that's reddish, that's greenish, you stinkish. That's not a word, but of relating to or being, chiefly an adjective indicating nationality or ethnic group. Of or relating to or being, okay? It's relating to, but it's not that. It's relating to it, but it's not that. They do say or being, and I don't know, it's kind of in there, but I think it's like still, whatever. But a characteristic of boy, but you're acting boyish. You can tell a girl she's acting boyish. She's not a boy, but you're acting boyish, like a boy, right? Inclined or liable to, okay? Having a trace of, you got a little bit of that. You got a little ish in you. You got a little, something, a little bit of it in there, purplish or whatever, what it's saying, a little trace of it, not a full thing of it. What am I getting to? And shout out to Copper Empress. He's the one that goes around really spreading this information and opening people's eyes. She opened mine on it. And I already had that video of that guy from well before I even got on TikTok, but I didn't look completely into everything when I first, because I knew that they did the invasions, but as far as the name changes, I didn't look into it. So when you look at the people who have ish in the suffix, it is a person of Danish descent. Ish, as we know, is somewhat that. The people are called Danes. What you don't know are the people are called Danes from Denmark. Danes are from Denmark, and people who are somewhat a Dane are Dane-ish. That would be a person who is a mixed Dane, because Danes were black, or melanated, okay? So if you are a Dane, a melanated person from Denmark, you are a Dane. If you're a mulatto, you are Danish. You have a little bit of that Dane blood in you. That's what a Danish is. Britain. You got Britons, you got British. Okay? A Briton is a member of one of the peoples inhabiting Britain prior to the Anglo-Saxon invasion. What? Who invaded? Angles, Saxons, and Jutes.
That's pretty crazy. See how that was in there like that?
A native or subject of Great Britain. A British person, even though they don't even speak of it on this one, a British person, ish being somewhat of or related to, meaning you have a little Briton blood. You are British, but you're not a full Briton. Irie, but really it's not spelled that way. I wanted to show you that because it's really spelled like this. The Irie people from Ireland. Okay, they changed the spelling, took the E off, makes sense, but country occupying the major portion of Ireland, whatever, this refers to the people, the Irie people. But you would think that they are Irish, ish being partly Irie, okay? Somewhat of, but not fully that. Bookish, boyish, purple-ish, dark-ish. Spanish, or what you may know is a Spaniard. A partial Spaniard is a Spanish person. Swedes are the real Sweden people. But if you are partially Swede, you are Swedish. Finns are people from Finland, like Ireland, okay? But if you have just a little bit of that blood in you, you are Finnish. Poles. These are people from Poland, Ireland, Finland, Poles, Finns, and whatever, right? But if you have a little bit of it, you're Polish. Ish. And
now, I might say this in the video, but let me just say it now. You don't get that kind of structure of an ish factor in any other continent but Europe. That's how you know it's a YT thing and a mixed thing. Because there's no Vietnamese-ish, there's no China-ish, there's no Japanese-ish, there's no American-ish. There's no Brazilianish, no Jamaicanish, nothing. No Africanish, Ghanaianish. Only in the places where you would be a partial person, mixed breed, likely, before you took over and bred us out. In those areas. Just keep that in mind.
People invaded. As he said, and I'm going to let him finish, the people would invade, come into certain areas who were Germans, Anglo-Saxons, and Jutes, and we know who the Anglo-Saxons are, come on. And they would go into an area, mate with the people there like they still do, have interracial relations, And then they would go ahead and take on the identity. They did that here in the United States. 1792. It has been suggested that the best method to facilitate the civilization of the Indians and attach to the United States would be to encourage intermarriages between whiteys and them. And they kept going. This is 1816. When you come down here, it says, let intermarriages between them and the whites be encouraged by the government, the Indian savages, without getting into it. And it basically continued all the way up into the 1900s. This is 1888. So I'm going to let him finish up. Again, this was in the textbooks in schools.
Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. They will come in and invade what you call England and exterminate the Irish or the Celts. Their name will change into Englishmen.
He said they would exterminate the Irish or the Celts, and their names would change into Englishmen.
And when these Englishmen come to America, the name of these people will change to Americans.
And he said when those people came to America as English people, I'm an American now. But they're still Germans.
So the point that I'm going to point out to you, and you see this scheme,
English.
Americans are Englishmen.
English.
Englishmen are Germans.
Ish.
They're Jutes, Angles, and Saxons, no different than Hitler. So let's clear your mind about who these Europeans are you call an American. They come from Germany.
Let me just interrupt them real quick to prove this, because you'll say, well, how do you know they were black? Sierra Leone was founded in 1787 and settled for freed slaves and black Britons.
So think about that. Sierra Leone was founded in 1787 as a settlement for freed slaves and black Britons. Who were the free slaves? Those could be the YT folks. Because why black Britons? Who? And it's going to tell you right here, with the British Crown establishing it as a province of freedom and later Freetown, whatever. But the British Crown, the British YT folks' crown, expelled a bunch of black Britons to Africa from Europe. You see how that, now you can read that? So Sierra Leone is populated by a bunch of, there's still some antagonistic Africans up there too, but it was populated by a bunch of us from starting Freetown as well as Europeans. What's up, Liberian Empress? Appreciate that. But yeah, it was so, now that you can read not understand the wording of it, it's like, okay. So yeah, that's what Sierra Leone is, and this the whole story about, and that leads me to the whole thing where they try to tie Sierra Leone to being like the Gullah Geechees, because they'll try to say they speak English out there in Sierra Leone, and they say they speak English and they call it Creole because it's an African thing. I was like, it's not an African thing. Did y'all forget that the whole place had black Britons coming there since 1787? What the fuck you think the black Britons was speaking? Right? What do you think the black Britons was speaking? Why do you think y'all national language over there is goddamn English? And then they also sent some of us over there who were speaking English. And now they making it seem like it's Creole over there. That's what they call it. Because it's they kind of say they're speaking like a patois broken English over there. But no, it's just the Africanized broken English. You know what I'm saying? That's really all it is. But let me fit the shit.
Black British people. It was the British Crown, the white folks, establishing the province of Sierra Leone, okay, for taking out the Britons. They moved the Britons out, like they said, to Sierra Leone, and the British, set up shop.
Or Frenchmen. So Frenchmen are Germans. Another group, two groups went into northern Italy and northern Spain. They are called the Visigoths and Vandals. Those white English, the white Spanish, and the white Italian, the white from Yugoslavia, they're Germans.
See? They eventually went. And what happens when they go into Spain? After they get into Spain? In 1492, when the Granada falls from the excuse me. From being in control by the Moors, the Black Britons, and the Black Spaniards. I'm sorry. Well, right after that, that's when Christopher Columbus makes his way on over to America. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Right after the Ish Factor comes in.
Another group of Germans will move to the west. That group is called the Rus, R-U-S. They will comprise your white Russia.
I don't have no more time, so you get it. Ish.
All right, so let me get over that one. So that was something else I said I wanted to show y'all too. So that right there, just think about it. So it within those 3 videos, for those who've been around for those 3 videos, you have the explanation of possible proof that the out of America theory is the main theory, and that we populated and moved about the earth, except for Africa. Looks like we knew about it and wanted to stay away from them hoes. And then we get proof that, you know, the YT folks was likely created by these Africans, right? Through interbreeding and other stuff. And then and then we get hold on, this is funny. Hold on. I don't think that's the one though. You know what? I'm gonna show y'all this. I'm gonna see if it's on there, but then I'll show you how the YT folks then started to run amok, right? And now they up in Europe, and they start taking over little locations that we had built up, and then it's either the black folks, the Moors, are coming back to America, escaping from the mayhem that's going there, and they either colonizing us or they're just coming back and just being with us. One of the two. That's why some of us say, I don't have really any. Some people say they don't have any records of being slaves, but they have records of their family members getting together with some Europeans that came over here. So that would be indicative to show that. And one of the people that says it is at the very top is her. Chief Warhorse of the Choctaw down in Louisiana. And she got state recognition for the Choctaws. I keep saying that over and over, but long story short, she talks about in this video that she has 1 drop of French blood in her bloodline, and that's through a black Frenchman named Nicholas Ducree. So, you know, what you got to wonder, why was he coming over here? What was the French people doing coming over here? Well, we just heard that the Frenchmen got taken over by the Germans. So think about this. Now I'm thinking a little bit deeper, and I didn't even think about this. Now the Germans were supposedly the people who had Hitler, right? That did the whole thing with the J people, right? But we were known as the J people the whole time, as far as in the history books. Got a whole section for those who don't even believe that, and I'll be doing something about that at one point. But I got a ton of references to that. So not only do I got book references like crazy, but then there's mounds, things that are pulled out of mounds, and videos about people saying it. Like, let's listen to one of these people.
Many other artifacts would turn up that suggested the presence of Middle Eastern cultures in North America.
Protestant priests, Catholic fathers, Jewish rabbis were seeing these possible links between the Native Americans and ancient Israel.
Between the Native Indians and Israel? Connection what?
Believe that.
Oh, hold on, was it the? Oh yeah, he said it too.
There were certainly religious beliefs, thinking that the Native Americans may have been descendants of some Hebraic, Jewish, Israelite travelers to the Americas at different times.
See, multiple people saying it, right? Multiple things pulled out of mounds with these things on them, right? Okay. Well, And they look like I just pulled this picture up. They look like the shit on here, right? On the little Moses thing, right? But also in the Library of Congress, they got a whole map saying, hey, the mound builders, they are supposed to have been one of the wandering tribes of Israel. Okay, that's in the Library of Congress talking about the Indian tribe maps. Okay, well, okay. And then we got tons of books where people Torquemada, who does not allow the Mexicans borrow any of the analogous customs of the JEWs. Nevertheless, in treating or whatever, that's the Mexicans. You pull up another random one. Now that one I had to I want to show you one directly from a book. Juan de Gravajalia, when he came to Mexico, said, went as far as to affirm that the inhabitants of the countries might be the descendants of the Jays. You got we now take up the subject of races. It was once the opinion that there were different races on the continent. Some of them were identical with races known to history, and the mounds were supposed to furnish evidence of this. The particular race which built the mounds was not known. To the most popular theory was that they were either Phoenicians or the members of the lost tribes of Israel. Another person, that's what they came up with, right? Somebody else, right? And I can just keep going and book references and book references and book references, right? Explorers and book references and others, right? In different areas and different whatevers. So everybody was talking about it, okay? So now let me tell you what I was thinking. Right? Let me tell you what I was thinking. So the Germans were supposed to be defeated by the Americans, right? The whole reason for the so-called war, one of those world wars, right? Or two, or whichever was to get rid of him, right? And to stop the whole expansion. Remember, they was moving about, and if they didn't go over there and stop it, they'd have took over Europe. They'd have took over Europe. But didn't we just hear that they took over Europe? Didn't the Germans take over Europe already before they came to America and started coming up with stories about we need to go fight and stop Germans from taking over Europe? You see what I'm getting? So you telling me the Germans took over Europe, came to America, became Americans, and then the new Germans over there started to take over Europe again. And we had to send the Germans that were here to go over there to fight the Germans that are over there now, the New Age Germans, to fight, to help free the JEWs, which are the people back in America, which is where y'all just came from. But you got some new people over there now saying that they're JEWs, but they look like the Germans also. But, you know, I might just be tripping, you know. I might just be thinking a little bit too deep, you know what I'm saying? Hold on, what did I say? The reset, right? And the war saying shoots us in the back, literally. And the war saying shoots us in the back, shoots U.S. in the back, literally. Both World War I and World War II were fought against Germans for taking over Europe. Right, but they had already taken it over. That's what's so crazy. Reconstruction area on target. Shooting. Hold on. Oh, and the war saying shooting us in the back, literally. I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah. So now this starts to make me think. Because I've heard the story from possibly Chief Warhorse. Pay attention to major moves in the West. I heard, no, you straight, boss. Except my bad. You super straight. I'm the typo king in this bitch. I ain't even gonna lie. And I won't proofread shit at all and send that bitch fast. I'm king of that. My tweets. That's why a lot of my tweets now. I do be putting some words in there. I'm sure there'll be some typos. 'Cause I don't even be rereading them either. But so I've heard from Chief Warhorse possibly, and other random people on TikTok possibly, that the wars were fake and were propaganda, but it was used to rally together a bunch of black Indians or black, people to go fight for the war, right? And they said that when they went to deploy, that the YT folks unalived them, leaving the women and the children, a bunch of women and children. Not all men went, of course, so it wasn't just everyone, but leaving a bunch of women and children, Indians, without their fathers. And then you got things like in My Family Tree, where a YT dude ends up taking 2 Indian wives and 7 children each, so 14 kids, and going up to Oklahoma. And they talk about that too. Somebody just talked about a story on a live stream. I can't remember the girl's name. I shot her out. And I don't follow her. I should have followed her so I can ask her more about it. But she said something about, and during the Trail of Tears, they had these things. She said not everybody went like that, which I do believe. I know it wasn't like that. But like she said, you mostly went if you was a wagon kid. And if you was one of those wagon kids, they was the ones that had to go. And I was like, what's a wagon kid? So now I got to look. Let me just Google that real quick. Now I got to look more into that, because is the wagon kids like people whose fathers are now they're, fatherless, parentless, whatever, wagon. Now she might have just they may have came with that term in more modern terms, but I'm still just kind of curious. Trail of Tears, but you never know what you Google. Likely refers to a historical event or a fictionary story about a child's experience during the forced removal, often called the Trail of Tears, where wagons were used. Many people walk. I think that's just kind of trying to give me an idea of what it thinks. I think that's. I should have got with her, because have any of y'all heard about that? I've heard about the Cabbage Patch Kids. You talking about orphan kids? That's what I'm thinking. Is they referring? Is that what inferred relatives to go on the census? I'm not sure. I think that was kind of more forced when the United States finally made statehood a thing and moved into Indian territories, and because in some cases we was cool, some people were cool with being United States citizens. They was just like, whatever, I just want to stay on my land. I don't care what you're doing, and that just means they had to be counted as a citizen in order to stay on their land, play the game. They didn't know the trickery that was going to come from it, though. Queen Janice tied the Tulsa race riots to the Germans. I seen the Small Hats do it, was in on it too. And the Small Hats ain't nothing but them too. But yeah, like, I was just watching her live stream. That's funny you say that. She dope. She says she got some strikes on her YouTube, so that kind of sucks. You talking about the orphan kids, Alexander Dumas and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. He said, find out why 11/11 is so special in the Vatican, and the hero of light fire for every year. I just read about them too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into this whole thing, man, and see what I can come up with. Like, it's definitely But like the stories are now starting to make sense. Like when they first said it, I was just like, would they fully fake a whole world war? But yeah, I mean, first of all, you had to do something to even put the JEWs to fake them and to give them a reason to go take over the area of Palestine on top of that, which is what's going on today. That's kind of led to that. But like, knowing everybody they're all Germans and it's a whole game. There's no good. And when you look up, like there's a whole Vice thing. Thinking in my head, but let's see if I can find it. Vice Germans in America, I think, something like that. Look at that. How Germans ended up everywhere. That's kind of funny. Let me see. Germans in America after World War. Man, I thought it was a Vice thing. And some of these might talk about them because you see American Germany. And there's a bunch of like German towns and shit named in counties and shit too. But the untold truth about the World War II POW camp. I was looking for something in particular though. Where's that Joe Rogan? Was it Joe Rogan asking that question? Like, I've seen many different interviews and different things in my head, and I'm trying to recall them, but basically, it's somebody who's interviewing people or doing a or a journal report, like a little story or whatever about, not a full documentary, but about it, and they're interviewing these Germans in these areas, and they're talking about their stories of how they came over, and there was just like why would they be letting y'all over when we was just fighting y'all? Y'all was literally the enemy. Like shouldn't, but they had all these programs set up to allow these Germans to come over here, and it's like, why would you have all these programs set up to allow people to come here? But it's like they do today. Like a lot of this should be propaganda. Like, okay, in Syria, you got the one side of Syrians who were the Free Syrian Army who was backed by the United States. Then you had Bashar al-Assad. See, I used to put a lot of this brain power toward political shit and world issues and shit like that, but I don't do it. I don't want. I'm really more interested in history now than world top issues, because a lot of things with world issues, I used to do videos about it and shit, but like, it's harder to. It's hard. It's not that it's not hard to prove certain things to be facts. It's that in the modern political world, when you're talking about wars or political things or things that's going on overseas or whatever, people are so stuck in their party mind of government or whatever their mindset is or whatever, that it's hard to change people, no matter how much hard facts you bring on shit like that. So that's why I do like the history thing, because it's like, nigga, if I find the most oldest shit older than your shit, and this shit says something different than your shit, I win, bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more rewarding, and people have to either concede or look dumb, you know. But in modern times, you can always have an opinion. Well, I could show all kind of shit to Bashar al-Assad as an amazing person or whatever, and people be like, "You don't understand. He's still a tyrant. He's still a dictator. You just don't understand." You be like, "All right, man. All right, dude. You know, I can't show you too much else." What's up, Lola? Coming in on the late tip. I'm up for a little bit longer. But so okay, so back to what I was thinking. Like the Free Syrian Army at the time was supposed to be fighting against Bashar al-Assad. Now, they was doing this propaganda shit where they would either drop chemical bombs on themselves, or it looks like they dropped a chemical bomb, which they tried to say, hey, Bashar al-Assad did that. And so the whole thing goes out there, oh, look how he's treating his people. He's doing this to his people. Oh, my gosh. And he's not, and there is some fighting going on, but not maybe as much as what they say. Sometimes in certain areas, and most of it be fueled by the United States. But regardless of that, what happens is eventually these people start making a mass migration as refugees. You'll get the Americans start to say, oh, we need to help these poor people. They over there getting desired, bombed. So next thing we bring them in. And they flood in immigrants, you know what I'm saying? And so even though I wouldn't call their wars necessarily fake, because I did see people shooting and bombs going off and stuff, so people were getting pulled out of rubble. But it just kind of makes me think that they do these propagandistic, warlike things. And I watched a lot of war stuff. But they do these things, and it's always some fake ass shit going on, and it always triggers some people coming here. So think about it. What I was saying is so you got a bunch of Germans that was already here that called themselves Americans and was colonizing. You know what year were those wars? What year was World War I and II? Man, those were pretty late times. You mean during Ellis Island times? The war was going on? Man, look, I'm going to have to do a lot of deep dive. He said, yeah, right. So what I was about to say is you got these propaganda things that happen, and then eventually you get these flood of immigrants. So here you got a war going on, and what happens in between that time? Flood of immigrants. Let's see. What years were Ellis Island? ? 1892 to 1954. The busiest year, 1907. Closure, 1954. 12 million people. And World War II was around in that time too. World War II years, 1930. The whole time. Damn near the whole time, dude. Refugees was coming in, flooding in. And think about it. You're fighting the people who are you. So, are they really fighting? Or was it propaganda, like they said, to get people to come just to be an excuse? If you run a bunch of TV ads and make it look like, I said all during Red Sub the whole time, it's if you run a bunch of movies and things that look like movies but it's real, and put this in a newspaper and all this other stuff, and be like, we gotta, we got to bring in the JEWs and help them out. And we're also bringing in some German refugees to help them out because they need help. And I don't know why you would do that. Because that's the whole thing I was going to try to find is because they was but wouldn't you just be spreading the enemy across the country that they just fought and lost against? And wouldn't that be dangerous, man? Yeah. I know we just whipped y'all ass and shit. Just come live amongst us and chill. We appreciate you. We could be friends now. After we just murked about 3 million, half a million. I don't know. They said half a many people, So this shit is crazy, man. The more you think about this history, it's the Zion is all over, right? The more you think about this shit, man, it's just like I don't even want to fuck with the 1900s right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna stick to my 1800s, 1400s, and 1500s. And once I've gotten through that, then I'll tackle this propaganda. But this is also during the time where it's like, to be honest, it's like the precursor to this is the Indian removal, the westward expansion toward the oil fields and coal mines in Indian territories from the colonies. And it was first to take. Now I'm seeing everything. First, it was them coming to take over the tobacco and the cotton fields, and we was all good again. We was all good until and even up into the 1700s in Virginia, we were still trading or selling back and forth. Where's all my Virginia shit? Or do I have 2 Virginia folders by accident? I think I got 2 of them by accident. Yeah. But yeah, even as early as the 1700s, we was still just selling tobacco, like, and selling it to the YT folks, right? Immediately showing us selling it to them, right? So you think about it, man, like 1700s, you get these. Well, prior to the 1700s, we're selling it to them, but they had just taken over Europe, and they're all Germans, and all the people used to be black, right? So these fools have taken over that area. They're all still Germans. The Germans come over. We selling stuff to the Germans, like, all right, I don't know who these pale folks come from. Them Africans must have did a little bit too much going on over there. Told them niggas about this shit, but okay, we'll give y'all niggas some tobacco, right? And they go back and forth with tobacco, and they said, look, man, we got to go over there and get these niggas. We got to get this tobacco, we got to get this cotton. And they make their way over and they get the tobacco and the cotton, right? And then after they get the tobacco and the cotton, they realize there's a lot of oil and natural gas and coal mines over there. And that's not too far from the industrial boom. You know? And in an industrial boom, you need a lot of oil and gas and coal. Right? And we looked at that. Let me show the map for those who haven't seen it. Where did I put that shit? It might be under Chickasaw Loves. Yeah. Back then, you had oil and gas fields all throughout. None in the motherfucking colonies. None hardly on the west. Everything in the Indian territories. Okay, and then you also have coal fields all throughout. You can burn and get energy out of coal. You can burn and get energy out of oil. You can burn and get energy out of natural gas. That's three major energy supplying elements, all found within the territories of the Indian Territory, right? So I got the map of the Indian Territory right here, easy? No, but I can find it. Which had been there for a while, so let's pull that map up. So, I wish I had the larger one. Damn it. But yeah, I guess I could find it on the website. But yeah, let me find it on the website. Indian Territory map, Library of Congress. Thank God for fast internet. So, as you can see, all of this was Indian territory. Of course, that too over there, but all that stuff was over here. So now think about it, man. You got these Germans that took over Europe, sent the black Moors back over this way, and they came back over this way. They either colonized or lived in harmony or a combination of both. And as they was here, you got this old world thing going on. Like I'm trying to figure out when the switch over happens from black to white tea. At least I believe sometime in the 1700s and maybe late 1600s, because that's when you see on these advertisements us advertising to some white tea pale folks as Indians in the British Museum. So I'm just kind of going by off of that, and that's not a bad time frame because maybe they just kind of lightweight started coming. You know what I'm saying? They would, and that makes sense too. Like some of these offices started. That's afterwards. I'm kind of jumping forward, but like yeah, like we were selling stuff to them up until the 1700s. My bad, I haven't been looking down, y'all. I'm slumped over, but we've been selling stuff to them since the 1700s, at least. And so there was a switch over that happened at some point. The YTs came. Now maybe it was just a few, and then the flood happened in the Ellis Island years. And what I'm getting at is some people say that none of them showed up until after that, but no, I think there's enough evidence to show that some of them were showing up. Not everybody was melanated, but I still think it didn't happen till around the late 1600s, not 1500s and 1492 to 1500s, 1600, like late 1600s. And that goes about along with their records. Like they first started coming in a little drunk. I think Jamestown and shit, 1619, shit like that, whatever, fine. But like, what I'm getting to is like at some point there was a switch over to these YTs coming, and when they got here, they started taking over, and they needed to run propaganda, for some kind of, I don't know, it's just the whole thing with the wars, them making up this whole group being JEWs, and me looking back into these books and saying we the JEWs. Then it's like, then what are y'all doing? What is y'all whole point of this whole shit then? Like, what's the point of them right now taking over, the whole, Palestine area and shit like that? It's like with a fake group. But you use proxy fake groups in order to take over places to cover up for who the real people is, just like the natives, right? Like the Native Americans. They're like a proxy fake group that's personally being used to keep us from really like digging into the crates of this shit, of our history and stuff like that. So like, man, this shit is crazy. I don't know, man. Shit's crazy. The shit is crazy. It's just so much corruption. But like the Westward Expansion didn't happen until 1803. And then after that, slavery was so-called abolished, and goddamn, I don't know, man. Now I'm just all over in my head. It's probably time for me to go to sleep. That's probably what it is. Let me see what y'all saying. A lot of Latinos being, that's why we're still dealing with them now. That's why we're still dealing with them now, yeah. They called Puerto Ricans Germans when they came to New York. I didn't know that. Wow. And you gotta think, like, what is there's different types of looking YTs. I will say that. Like when I think of a German, I sometimes think of like somewhat like that dude off of the movie Rocky, the dude Rocky fought with the buzz cut. So think about like, And in fact, you ain't even really got to think about it. I ain't even really got to think about it. I've dated a couple of girls that were mixed German and black, like black from here, Indian. Well, I say that. I don't know. Let me take that back. I don't know what kind of black. I never asked them who their parents was like that. I was just kind of cool with them, if you know what I mean. But but they were bad. I ain't gonna. Don't get me wrong. Like the cool thing about it, and then I also dated another one. Went on a date with one time, and I wasn't really feeling her. But like all three of them, I remember thinking like they have a distinct look. They look like I know what black and white girls look like that are mixed in Oklahoma, because that's where I'm from, and there's a bunch of them. And they all have like a distinct, and we all see them, they're distinct features, those that are just immediately mixed. Well, a German black YT, it just, there are distinct features. Like, they look good to a degree, but they have like these, like the jaw might be a little bit more squared out. Trying to think, face might be a little bit longer. Swirl Central. They look different. And yes, and you got to start thinking, though. It's got me thinking now. I know I need to go to bed, but just different types of black people mixing with different types of white people make different types of looking people. So, like, when I look at these Native Americans, it's fake $5 Siberians, you know. I used to still wonder, like, what mix could they really have came from? Because some of them are so mixed down and whatever. It's just like, what the hell is it? And I'm looking, yeah, I see the Asiatic. Yeah, I see the Mongolian in it. Yeah, I see the YT in there. And I think it's almost like that. It's like a 3, 4, 5 mixture. It could also be a little bit of East Indian in that motherfucker. You know, and you wouldn't even fucking know. And that's how they play the game. Like, the more now I look at people's phenotype, like now I pay a whole 100% attention to people's phenotype. I don't care what they tell me. Oh, I'm Mexican. Yeah, you look more like a Israeli or an Italian or something. But like, I pay a whole lot more attention to that shit now. Because these people leave their country, put on a sombrero, speak Spanish, and fool you. Because we just don't think. It's like, oh, they speak Spanish, they must be. And they say they from Peru. You don't know. You ain't never been to Peru. How you gonna tell this nigga now? You know. But then when you start to really look at these folks, it's just like, nah, man, you ain't from no motherfucking Peru. You'd be black. You'd have brown skin, melanated skin. Said to be Romanian for real. Yeah. That's the one too. I be trying to think of those off countries we don't think about. Czechoslovakian, you know, Romanian, you know, one of them weird countries. They could be all throughout, putting on sombreros and, you know, dancing all kind of like mariachi dances or whatever the fuck they call them and shit. And you don't think shit. Talking about they Cuban. Like, think about it. Like, okay, before I end up getting off here, like, I was so pissed off when somebody said this, because I watched so many different motherfucking documentaries about this nigga in the country, that I was like, how did I not see that shit, man? They was like, Fidel Castro is an Iranian. I said, get the hell out of here, man. As soon as they said it, now that I know all about, you know, phenotypes and stuff, as soon as I thought about it in my head, I said, God damn, this nigga done fooled me back in the day. Here, whole time I'm thinking this nigga Cuban because he holding a Cuban. That I felt like when I heard that. I said, this nigga Cuban because he holding a Cuban. Nigga, this nigga's nothing but an Iranian. And it's no different from your nigga, like, he's no different from your nigga, and I don't know what this nigga claimed to be, like a French Montana. You know what I'm saying? My live stream has just been restricted from some audiences. Oh, whatever. I'm about to get off here anyway, nigga. But yeah, it ain't no different from your him. He's like he ain't nothing but the same thing. But at the same time, he could put a sombrero and speak Spanish. You wouldn't think nothing, right? He could also act like he's an Italian and you wouldn't think nothing, right? He could also act like he's a goddamn Puerto Rican and you wouldn't think nothing. He could damn near act like he's a Native American and you wouldn't think nothing. That's the games they play. You know what I'm saying? With these kind of folks. And if he was to mix with a YT, what is that gonna look like? If he was to mix with a Spaniard looking black person, what does that look like? The mixes are like, just because I know and have seen like 3 of those Russian girls made me really think about it. It's just like, damn. Like, so if you was like, let's say like he said Romanian, so a black and a Romanian, what does that look like? What is a black, one of our blacks, not an African black, because that's gonna look even different. An African mixing with a Romanian versus us mixing with a Romanian gonna look completely different. So I mean, look, man. I'm gonna get on here. Just look at the Trump is allowing build military base in the middle of USA, Qatar. I'm gonna have to look into that. And your name, Habib, NASCAR, Jay Fox. All day long, they're game with it. Pacific Columbia is very black, and Northeast Brazil very black, and Ghanaians, Caribbeans. Yeah, I said appreciate the live. I appreciate y'all being in here. I definitely appreciate y'all being in here and rocking with your boy for a bit. And yeah, I'm gonna get off here. They done gave me a little restriction. No, I was gonna get off here anyway. I got things to do. Luckily, not so early tomorrow morning. But yeah, I appreciate y'all coming up in here. Appreciate you too, Cynthia Survivor, Crew White, all of y'all, Empress Enchanted, everybody, all the people, Melanin Empress, Colombian Moore, all that shit, Yeah, man, y'all get y'all some sleep. Try to. Anyway, I know I'm about to get me some sleep. I'll holler back at y'all.